Like with your photographers, do you have to go through some sort of like, do you train them or do you have to go through some sort of onboarding process so that you know how to work with each of these animals when you do a photo shoot?
Yes, our photographer and animal handler training program is one of our best training programs that we have. It's a system that we've created, and it includes the technical side, the artistic side, and the animal side. Yeah, it includes things like dog body language, how to tell when they're nervous or when they may snap at you, or if they're scared. So direction and all kinds of things like that. So we
And but
do
like,
train them.
do they have to fill out some sort of form beforehand so you have an idea of what's getting ready to walk in the door for a certain photo shoot, or is it like a complete surprise from one shoot to the next?
So remember how I said that the client experience is so important to us,
Yeah.
right? So that would not serve our clients if we didn't know anything about them before they come in. So our mission, and when I hire somebody to be a receptionist, I tell them that I want them to pretend as if that client is their mom.
Hmm.
And if they were their mom, how would they want their mom to be treated? How, your mom would want to know how to get to us. We would want to know everything about, the people coming in. So it's a very empathic approach to our customers, so that we can give them that best experience. And yes, so we initially talk to them on the phone when they schedule, and then we talk to them again before they come in, and to find out everything. We find out everything about who is coming in. And then the beginning of each day, our receptionist posts, every session that's coming in, names, dogs' names, what they are, how many, all of those details. So being prepared for our sessions is key to providing a good experience for our clients.
I mean, if you think about it, right, and I like to make this comparison when I feel like it's appropriate, but like from an experience perspective, if you go to the Mac Shack, people are like, "Yo, this is garbage," but if you go to Chick-fil-A, people are like, "Oh, this is great," and a lot of it has to do with the training and the experience that you put through that, and it sounds like that's very evident. In that situation, I think I might have found the pitch that you're talking about, but I have no idea.
Well, the 14 whippets in it.
That one, well, that was it. I mean, I counted to 14. Is this the one you're talking about? The boy?
It's the same session. But yeah, it's a different picture from the session, but it's the same.
So close.
Yeah. Yeah.
So close.
Very close. No. Yeah, 2017. That dog was so big.
So we live in a world where images and video have become, I think, the norm. I think historically, we lived through this world where it was like in-person stuff, and then the internet was okay and it was all text-based, and then images started to come through, and now it's video. How do you kind of display or showcase images and maybe video? I don't see any videos on some of the stuff that I looked through immediately, but like how do images, how can someone better their images to get better results, to share the story, to share the kind of impact that they want online on kind of like a social perspective? Because I think some people get it and some people don't. How do you storytell better in images, I guess is what I'm asking.
Okay, well, for one thing, I am not a graphic designer at all. So, I can create a competition worthy images, but as far as like which images to use necessarily in advertisement is not my specialty. I do know that, impact is number one for images, and, closing up on eye contact and in the face. But as far as like storytelling in an image, so, you have your storytelling elements. I probably would be better to answer that question if I had an example. I can show you a storytelling image that I've created.
Well, let's talk about that 14, and I'll pull it up.
Oh, 14.
Since you brought, I think this is the right one. So tell me the story behind this.
Sure. So this gentleman here, Dr. Ken, he raises, breeds, and shows whippets. One of his whippets, it's like whiskey bourbon. It has won reserve best in show at the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show the last 2 years in a row, and is the most winningest whippet ever. So he's a legit whippet guy, and he actually lives in a really small 850 square foot custom little tiny home about 4 hours from here, I think. And his dogs live in a custom built 1,500 square foot kennel behind the house. And he actually had this portrait made to put and display over his sofa in the kennel. And he could only bring 7 of them to my studio at one time. And so he brought the 7 down, and I had a sketch that I had made. I created a system to be able to make this composition. So he brought the 7 down, and I made half of it, and then he went back up and got the other 7 and brought them down, and I made the other half of it. And I was actually able to show him a proof of that image that day when he was there. And that portrait will actually be 60 inches, 5 feet wide in the new studio as the main focal point when you walk in. So it'll be quite impressive at that size. But the storytelling.
Well, I mean, it's impressive as it is already, right? And then to hear the story behind it of how that actually came about, where some dude 4 hours away drove half of his dogs in and then back. I mean, that's an ordeal to most people, right? I mean, so the fact that like this is now your showcase, this is like your centerpiece, like that's a pretty incredible story there. I mean, if the experience for someone who had to drive 16 hours is crappy, I mean, he's not going to be in a pleasant mood. So the fact that you're able to put something like this together, I mean, I think that shows a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, no pressure at all. I mean, it was a difficult task to try to think of the composition for 14 whippets. How am I going to compose 14 dogs? And I love the types of group posing where everybody is in a different spot. Annie Leibovitz poses like that, and they all have each individual poses. They're all lit individually, but it's a group, and I really love that. But 14 in my tiny little studio, I was still in Chesapeake, so I was in this very small space, and so I had to use the elements of basic elements of composition of the triangles connecting the heads with diagonal lines, and to just stack them and not do any totem poles. And I created the sketch, and I put Dr. Ken in the middle of my sketch, and then I did 14 circles in the composition that I wanted, and then I numbered them 1 through 14. And then I put 1 through 14 on the paper, and I asked Dr. Ken, I need a smaller dog who's very important to you to sit at your right shoulder. Who would that be? And he said, oh, well, that would be Star. She's 13. She's been with me her whole life. She's my baby. I want her on my right shoulder. So number 1, I wrote Star. And then number 2, I said, okay, I need a dog that has a large marking on this side because I'm going to have it laid down right here. And I'm going to see that side. Who has a big, marking? And he said, okay, that's Charlie. So write down Charlie. It's number 4. So then he would just tell me, I'm bringing in Star, and he would bring Star in. I said, okay, well, Star's supposed to be on this stool on this side, so go ahead, put her up on the stool, and then I get that picture. She can take Star out, and then do the same thing. Oh, it's Charlie? Okay, Charlie's laying down right here. We'll have him lay down. Look at me. Okay, got it. Next. And that's the way that we went through systematically and created that composition with the 14 dogs.
I have to ask, do you remember human names as well as you remember pet names?
I made up those names except for Star. Star is the actual name, but names are so important. You know, I mean,
I totally agree.
That was great.
But,
I made up those names. That was great.
but
I mean,
and that was really, really well played. And that was the thing is like every animal you're naming off all these
oh yeah,
animals. for
Larry
every
the
picture that we
Third,
have.
and
Yeah.
Peter
Oscar,
Paul. Oh,
it is Oscar the pig. It's Stella the pig. So when I was the one who was working with the clients, then yes, I remember them and I remember their names. I remember this lady's dog's name, Hope, and I photographed her a very long time ago. But we focus on it. You know, I've always believed and followed the rule that, you know, people love to hear the sound of their own name. You know, and when our clients come through the door and we say, "Oh, hi, Trisha, thank you so much for coming," and then they also know their pets' names too. You know, right off the bat, it's surprise and delight. So we refer to our clients by their names and their pets by their names, and it's a big deal for us.
So how much preparation has gone into opening location number 2 in Williamsburg? Are you bringing people that have been in the Norfolk location up to assist with Williamsburg? Or are you hiring in advance to train people that culture? Can you walk us through that process?
It's been a very long process of preparation. I started looking for the studio space in May and actually signed the lease in the early July. And so we've been working on the build out ever since. And especially now it's getting very intense with the planning that's required for that. As far as the employees, we have hired one salesperson for Williamsburg who's currently working in Norfolk, waiting for us to be ready up here. And also we have an operations assistant. Her name is Megan, and she is actually the young lady, the first person I hired to replace me when I was out having my baby in April of 2019. That's why I hired Megan. So I hired her, trained her to shoot and sell, and she took over for me in 2019. So she's been with us since the end of 2018. And she is coming up. She will photograph. She loves to photograph. So that's what she'll be doing. And we have we've also hired an animal handler. We're interviewing people almost every day for Williamsburg right now.
What location in Williamsburg? Where are you going to be located?
It's the High Street Shops off Richmond Road.
Got it.
Yeah. Next to the subway.
I've been directly involved within our entrepreneurial community for years. And the most common question I get is, Tim, I want to get involved, but I don't know what events I should attend. Well, StartWheel eliminates that pain point because we consolidate all the events you should attend into a single calendar. Now you'll be in the know and see where to spend your time. Gone is the need to search multiple websites and calendars. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.